All right, welcome into a Cubs Den podcast. We're doing a video cast today. My guest is Brennen Davis. Brennen out in Arizona. Brennen joined me last summer, but we haven't talked. I mean, we've talked a little bit between them, but this is our first formal, interview since then. How you doing?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm doing well. Here in Chicago, you're obviously out there in Arizona where it's a little bit nicer out. You're sitting outside on a patio or whatever. I'm inside, the heater is on. We're at about 70 degrees here, so it's a little bit different.
Yeah, I'm very happy to be where I'm at.
It's not a bad place to spend quarantine or spend some time working out and stuff like that. So let's get into it. Last time we talked was the beginning of the season, and we still really didn't know kind of what you were going to do or what anyone was going to do, I guess. Since then, obviously, the Cubs they went to the playoffs and unfortunately lost to the Marlins and stuff like that. And there have been some moves in the system. But, I mean, going back for you were in South Bend. Obviously, you were in South Bend before, but a little bit different this time. So kind of tell everybody, all the fans out there, kind of what that was like for you day to day.
Yeah, so Site B was a really cool experience. I got to be around a lot of guys who have spent a lot of time playing baseball in the minor leagues and a lot of guys that have touched the big leagues. So it was being able to go up against a lot of experience on the baseball field, and that's something that I had lacked in my development. So being able to go up against mature arms that really knew how to pitch instead of just having tools was really good. So I don't know, it was kind of the chess match of them making adjustments, me making adjustments back, and being able to grind with our coordinators day in and day out. Everything that we did was the most baseball that we possibly could, since we didn't have a game per se to play. So we did early work, hitting, BP, defensive work, specific stuff you needed, anything you needed. It was all available. So I think that was the biggest developmental section of my baseball career so far.
I've obviously I do some of the White Sox too, with some of the minor league guys. So I was talking with Andrew Vaughn a couple days ago, and then Tyler Johnson on Friday. And so what both of them said was, what Andrew said was, I kind of asked him, what was it like facing some of the guys in certain situations? He was talking about Garrett Crochet. And then Tyler was talking about facing Andrew so often. You see these same guys over and over. So what kind of stuff did you learn about your swing or learn about them or all that stuff, I guess?
Yeah, I definitely learned a ton about myself, because pitchers aren't dumb. They're going to go after your weaknesses, and they're going to keep pounding it until you make the adjustment back. So got exposed, and then you make the adjustment. So, I mean, the further you chase to your weakness, the worse you're going to play. You got to be disciplined at the plate. And it's hard to do sometimes, but it's the maturity side of baseball. And I think throughout the summer, I readily improved to where I wanted to be.
What was the biggest thing you kind of missed from the season, obviously being with the guys? I mean, so the first few months, obviously you were not with the guys. Within the last couple of months, you were not in the same way in a normal season, but what was kind of the biggest thing you missed from a normal season?
I just missed like the competitive side of baseball. I just felt like my at-bats this summer were like, I was out there competing, but it's definitely different when you're out there trying to score runs for your team or get a guy over, or you're down one going into the eighth. Like, that just drive that makes sports the way they are. Right. So it was kind of felt like a big scrimmage all summer. Like, it was hard to make it competitive when you're playing your teammates, because it's just how it is.
Right.
But we did the best that we could, and we definitely got good work out of it.
So one of the guys that we kind of talked about that I saw a lot in South Bend was Brennen Marquez, and he got some time towards the end of the season, pitched against the Sox. I mean, doesn't really matter how he did. That's not important, but got the experience, and it's cool to see him up there. But a guy like Brennen, we talked last time. You faced him before, and pretty good arm from the left side.
Yeah, I mean, absolute electricity from the left side. Electricity. When he's got his slider and his changeup working to tunnel off of that fastball, it's pretty unhittable. But he's got some things to learn, and does everybody. But it's so awesome to see him get an opportunity like that. It's huge. He's going to be a big part of the Cubs.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
He's going to be a big part of the Cubs rotation moving forward.
Especially after losing a few guys. I know Colin and then you, of course, both moved on from the rotation. So there's going to be ample opportunities for him to make his mark. For you, we kind of talked at the end of the season. Obviously, your goal was to be on the playoff roster and all that other good stuff. But what did you kind of take away from the experience of being that close? I mean, obviously, it's going to fuel you a lot this off season and then going into the next season. But kind of, what were your thoughts this off season? I guess after that.
I mean, you play in the minor leagues and you feel like you're so far away from the big leagues. Like when I was in law, I was like, that felt like my team. Like you get kind of caught up in what you're doing because you don't want to overlook where you're at, because then you just get caught in a downhill spiral. But when being at Site B, and like Tyson Miller got an opportunity, Justin Steele got sent up. He didn't get a chance to play, but he got the call up. Brennen, just seeing like guys get the opportunity to go up to the big leagues is like, wow. Like these are guys that I'm out here competing every day with, and these are guys like, it just makes it feel more real, like a little more obtainable because it's a little closer.
Give you confidence. I know some of the guys came down to rehab stints and things like that throughout the end of the year, and you got to see their skills and kind of face some of the pitchers and stuff. I mean, does it give you more confidence being able to compete against them as well than seeing them go out and play in the majors like that?
Yeah, I mean, I faced Jose Quintana probably 20 times, and then he goes out and shoves. So, like, I mean, when I get it, like, I'm a big leaguer. But just to have that kind of and play against those kind of guys is what I needed.
We when we talked last time, you talked about facing him. But for those of the folks out there that didn't maybe hear that interview or whatever, what makes Quintana such a difficult pitcher to face? I mean, obviously, I'm a Sox fan. Everyone knows that. Whatever, it doesn't matter. So I saw Q a lot, pitch for us, and then thank you very much. And then seeing him up close, and then what kind of makes him special? I mean, he doesn't throw. He doesn't throw 95, 98, from the side. But what makes him effective?
Yeah, I mean, he's one of those guys that knows how to pitch. His changeup is so hard to see. When I say it looks exactly like his fastball, and I mean, that's just something that has to go into your game plan to account for stuff like that. But his mechanics are super clean. He knows counts. He knows situations. He's a vet. He's done it before. I mean, the guy gets the job done, and those are kind of guys that stick in the big leagues. The guys that are in the most tools, he don't always stick because they can't get the job done always.
Consistency, obviously, another big thing, which is what Q has.
Yeah.
For you,
100%.
Yeah. For you going into this offseason, obviously it was not the same season. Everyone knows that. But is there anything that you kind of approached differently this offseason than a normal offseason?
Yes and no, because I felt like I was in a good place last offseason, so I wanted to do some similar things. But I also took away from what I learned this summer and knew there were some specific areas I needed to grind a little harder and improve skill-wise. So, I mean, it was just a combination of everything I've learned over the years, and that's how I'm going to continue my off seasons. You take what you did well, or you take what worked, you add it to what you need to work on more. So
cool. Obviously, no one knows exactly when you will be reporting spring training and all that good stuff. But what are you looking forward to the most? I mean, just I guess kind of we talked about that earlier with what you missed last year. Is that what you're looking forward to the most? I mean, going to spring training here.
Yeah, I mean, getting back with the guys. Those are my guys, and the energy in the locker room and just being around that kind of environment. That's the kind of life I love. And when not all the guys are together and it's the off season, we're all doing our own thing. It's kind of sad, because you miss being around everybody.
You spent a lot of time with, you spent obviously out in Arizona rooming with a teammate and things like that. But yeah, they're just being with the guys every day. I mean, that's just something that, as you mentioned, even though towards the season, into the season last year, not the same thing as 140 game minor league season or 162 game regular season.
Yeah, exactly.
For yourself, I mean, a couple more questions, let you run. One baseball thing, one non-baseball thing. What's the biggest thing? I mean, you don't need to give anything away or whatever, but what's kind of the biggest thing that you took away from last year going into this year that you've kind of worked on? I know you kind of touched on a little bit, but is there anything kind of that stands out more than anything else? I mean, that you learned facing the big league pitching, or maybe that you saw in your swing or from the outfield perspective?
Yeah. You cut out a little bit, so I'm going to clarify the question.
Yeah. So
what do I learn the most?
Yeah. So what kind of thing, like what's your biggest goal? Like what was the biggest thing you worked on this offseason? Was it in the outfield throwing, just being ready to go, something you saw in your swing from facing some really good guys, or what was kind of the focal point, I guess?
Yeah. So I would say everybody has holes in their swing, but to minimize them and to be able to handle and not have any detrimental holes is the goal, because you have areas that you do damage and you have your weakness areas. But my goal this offseason was to cut down the areas and be able to handle more pitches and be secure in my base so I can stay back and wait and I'm not caught out in front on off speed or anything that's over the top. Yeah, I mean, just refine some mechanical issues, not issues, but like mechanical tweaks in my swing. And then I think I'm a good defensive player, but to continue working on routes and good jumps. I mean, there's no point in baseball where you're going to be like, yeah, like I'm the best I'm going to be.
Right.
So just continue to work on everything baseball wise, getting jumps on the base paths, getting quicker, getting stronger. And then it'll all just translate onto the baseball field. Last
thing, I'll let you go. What are you doing for fun out there? I know you get some nicer weather, so you get to be outside a little more than we are here in Chicago. But what are you doing for fun out there to stay busy?
My most recent hobbies: golf,
okay,
spike ball,
okay,
beach volleyball,
okay,
pickleball. So if anybody thinks they can take me in the greater Scottsdale area, bang my line.
I've never played pickleball, spike ball. I have not played those last games or sport. I don't know, whatever you want to call them. Golf. I've golfed like 4 times in my life. Yeah. I'm not ready to challenge you quite yet, but what is your golf game like? Is it good, bad? I mean, where are you at here?
My golf game is extremely mediocre.
Okay, that is a safe way to put it. I like that. That's good. All right, man. I appreciate your time today. Stay ready. Who knows when you guys will. Hopefully it'll be on time. I know Ian Happ was on with Bernstein maybe last week on the Score, and he said that he thought that things were going to be on time. But who knows what's going to happen? But just be ready to go and look forward to seeing you this season. And appreciate your time, man.
Of course, man. Thanks for having me on.
All right. It's Brennen Davis, Cubs Den podcast, videocast, whatever you want to call it, interview. Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yeah.